evening and welcome to Eswatini TV's 8 p.m. news broadcast with me, Nondobe Gonzabkelwago and Nomakabiso Nkambule. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. The Deputy Prime Minister has condemned all forms of gender-based violence in the kingdom. The government of Eswatini needs about 240 million emalangeni to deliver the agro-value chain development strategy. The Minister for Natural Resources has launched the Manzini Integrated Water and Sanitation Project. The news in detail. The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku has spoken harshly and condemns all forms of violence against any person and further stated that perpetrators must be dealt with. Masuku was speaking during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in Pikes Peak.
Speaking during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in Pikes Peak, the Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku has spoken harshly and condemned all sorts of violence regardless of who is abusing who. Masuku says it is high time men take their position in societies and homes and protect the girl child. He calls for perpetrators of violence to be reported and apprehended.
We appreciate you and we appreciate you and other partners, PEPFAR and other partners. But as a nation, we should not be shifting our responsibility to those structures. We are failing the nation by doing just that. We must appreciate the assistance because there will always be those one or two renegades, that we need to control. But let's all be responsible and make sure that we take responsibility for our nation. Teenage pregnancy is a problem. These days, it's even worse because these young children, 11-year-olds, etc., have been locked down with these monsters. I think animals. The monster is an animal, I think. They're locked down with these people who rape these children. And these children can't even go to report because of the lockdown. But also if they report, I think the Mkalat.
According to the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Report, which was conducted by the University of Eswatini and the Deputy Prime Minister's Office, the rate of abuse in Eswatini is relatively high. In the report, there are recommendations of what should be done after various people were consulted while conducting the report. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Pikes Peak.
Government needs about 240 million emalangeni to implement its agro-value chain development strategy for fruits and vegetables, meat and meat products, as well as its national industrial upgrading and modernization program. The strategy and program have been launched by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, at the Happy Valley. The minister says agriculture is at the center of all government strategies.
Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, says agriculture has proven to be one of the most resilient sectors. Khumalo says the prevailing COVID-19 situation is proof of that, as a growth in the sector has been witnessed. He says government collaborated with development partners, specifically the SADC TRF, funded by the European Union, to undertake a value chain diagnostic study in the agro-processing sector.
The analysis undertaken identified agro-value chains, sectors that have potential to employ more people, increase exports, promote import substitution, diversify the economy, those that are highly competitive, promote environmental sustainability, and are highly inclusive in terms of integration of women, youth, and MEs in the value chain.
Director Industry at the Ministry, Zama Nyambose Mthethwa, says about 240 million emalangeni will be needed for the implementation of the Industrial Upgrading and Modernization Program. Mthethwa says as part of the implementation, a task team has been put in place.
The task team will be chaired by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, co-chaired by the private sector, and the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade will serve as Secretariat. The team shall meet every 3 months or more, frequently, or as and when the need arises.
In the implementation, over 25 million emalangeni will be for creating and providing an enabling environment for value chain actors to operate efficiently and effectively. Over 79 million emalangeni will be for capacity building of support institutions, while over 93 million emalangeni will be for developing basic infrastructure to improve productivity at all stages of the value chain. For Eswatini TV News, Temgos Mavimbela, Ezulwini.
The Minister for Natural Resources and Energy, Peter Bembe, has called upon the participation and cooperation of all sectors so that the Kingdom can deliver 100% potable water coverage to all eMaswati. The Minister was speaking during the launch of the Manzini Integrated Water Supply and Sanitation Project at Eswatini Lodge in Matapa.
The Eswatini Water Services Corporation has embarked on a water supply and sanitation project which will benefit 5 constituencies of the Manzini region, which include Mafuteni, Mponganeni, Hlambeni, Manzini North and Manzini South. The Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Peter Bembe, says it is important for the nation to come up with strategies to address water and sanitation issues. The Minister says the Manzini Water Supply and Sanitation Delivery Project will improve the lives of all eMaswati and will help the country reach its goal of ensuring safe, clean water for all.
Water is a major driver for a thriving economy as it facilitates economic productivity. We also appreciate that the provision of clean and safe water supports the improvement of health indicators. Potable water reduces the incidence of waterborne diseases and increases productivity of the people in all ages, ensuring economic benefits.
The Eswatini Water Services Corporation Managing Director Jabulile Mashwama says the project will ensure access to safe drinking water to over 76,000 residents, and the completion will increase by 3% and place the national water coverage at 84% by the year 2024.
Honourable Minister, this project, as highlighted by the Technical Services Director's presentation, is jointly funded by the African Development Bank and the Government of the Kingdom of Eswatini to the tune of 825 million emalangeni.
The Manzini Water and Sanitation Delivery Project goes in line with delivering Vision 22 in a way of ensuring sustainable development by ensuring all eMaswati have access to clean water. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Temalang Ndlamini with Muslim Konda, Matapa.
The Minister of Health, Lizingosi, says the world, including Eswatini, still need to raise awareness to eliminate antimicrobial resistant organisms in our systems and value chains. The Minister was speaking during the last day of the World Antimicrobial Week that was held at the Royal Swazi Hotel in Zulwini.
From the 18th to the 24th of November, the world was united in Antimicrobial Week, which seeks to find ways to raise awareness against the need to eliminate antimicrobial resistant organisms. 3 ministries, namely the Minister of Health, the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Natural Resources, joined hands in fighting these organisms. Antimicrobial organisms have a negative impact on humans, plants, animals and the environment. The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says this calls for a joint partnership between all stakeholders involved.
Antimicrobial resistance is when bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites resist the effect of medication, that making common infections harder to treat, increasing the risk of spread of disease,
or the risk of severe illness, and even the risk of death in both human and animals.
The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources, Kabilin Tlabati, who was representing the Minister Peter Bembe, emphasized that the environment is key in generating antibiotics leading to antimicrobial resistance.
The role of the environment and pollution has received little attention, and therefore as the ministry we encourage everyone to play a role to curb or to avoid disposing of waste carrying antibiotics.
The Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, who was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Bongani Masugu, says the Ministry of Agriculture is equally affected.
Players, retailers, farmers, animal feed manufacturers, plant and animal health technicians in livestock and plant production have to ensure the appropriate usage of antimicrobial agents.
The ministries pledged to work together and continue fighting this global problem. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi at the Convention Center Ezulwini.
The Minister for Tourism, Moses, says it is possible to keep Eswatini clean. The minister was speaking when launching the No Plastic campaign, which seeks to encourage Emaswati not to use plastic but instead use bags when doing their shopping.
The Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs has launched the No Plastic campaign in support of the United Nations Development Programme and the Eswatini Environmental Authority, which aims to reduce single plastics bags for environmentally friendly alternatives reusable bag. The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says the campaign is an effort to tackle issues of single-use plastics and develop solutions to plastic waste problems.
The No Plastic campaign complements the ongoing Clean Eswatini with particular focus on promoting behavioral change on the use of single-use plastic bags for alternative and reusable shopping bags, as well as to stimulate the small and medium enterprise sector in the production of alternative environmentally friendly carrier bags. Single-use bags shall not be issued in all the participating retail shops during weekends, which are Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, for the duration of the campaign.
The United Nations Development Programme resident representative Rose Sebatindera says they are determined to contribute to making Eswatini an economy where plastic rarely becomes waste and pollution.
The plastic pollution in the country, but also globally, is a major concern. So we are looking at promoting circular economy, and this obviously targeting especially the lowest bracket in terms of economy.
The campaign goes in line with the nationwide Clean Eswatini campaign that was launched by the Prime Minister in July this year to ensure a clean and safe environment in the country. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Temalang Ndlamini with Muslim Konda in Babane.
Members of Parliament have asked the Ministry of ICT to review the high fines against cybercrime offenders. Members of Parliament say the fines contained in the cybercrime bill are too high. They voiced their concerns during a meeting with members from the Ministry of ICT.
Members of Parliament have asked the Minister of ICT to review some sections within the cybercrime bill where they say the fines are too high and not affordable. Members of Parliament say the bill itself is not a problem and clearly is there to protect the country and fight cybercrime, but the fines are just too high.
Honestly, you can't take 4 billion, like Pulmahali cyberspace, which is the future of Swaziland, and just get 59 MPs to decide that will fail.
Noma ke bantu bakwesaba kakhulu ngalabo 10 million lebekhulunywa ngabo. Kulenza baye kukhuluma indaba letikabi ikakhulu labo Facebook. Awathinti ke minister ukuthi ingabe lapho kuhamba njani.
They say the ministry should clarify the term terrorist and when a person is regarded as a terrorist, especially if one expresses their views or themselves about something or a certain topic. Some wanted to know what will be done to those who write false information about royalty on social media. The acting Minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, says they are happy with the views and points raised by the MPs.
For the simple reason that I think the fines have to speak to the affordability of Eswatini, so that we have a different schedule of fines for international criminals and a different schedule of fines for local criminals. We expect that after this session we will agree to a model of that nature.
The chairperson of the ICT Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly, Makford Sibanze, says the MP's views will help them mend some sections within the bill.
Kukhona la ifine la isuke khona ku 15 million yaya ku 100,000. Sabese ke sesiphindze siyawahlukanisa nekokuthi kutawuba nema-fine lendeka local, kusho ukuthi lendeka even lethu laseSwatini.
The bill is a sense of urgency and all need to be actioned as soon as possible. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCV, Espaini Lodge, Matsapa.
The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says although the world is faced with COVID-19, people should not forget about preserving the environment. The minister says people should not fool themselves about environmental issues as nature has a way of striking back. Vilagati said this at the EnviroClimate Symposium held at the Happy Valley Hotel in Zulwini.
Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs Moses Vilagati says people should not forget about environmental issues even in these tough times of COVID-19. The minister says people should not make the mistake of thinking that they can fool nature as it has a way of striking back through disasters such as climate change. The minister says talk is cheap. Now is the time for action.
I'm hopeful that our organizations and the businesses will start taking environmental issues seriously and lead by example. And in our budgets, we need to have few coins, if not few malanganis, just talking to environmental issues, because it's going to be there, and it's the right thing to do. Today should not be an ordinary climate and environment talk. I think we've been talking about these things. I think it's about time for action.
The minister then asked the private sector to play their part in environmental issues. He also reminded the private sector about the Development Bank of Southern Africa grant, which is open to them. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, Ezulwini.
The Church of the Latter-day Saints and individuals from South Korea have donated personal protective equipment to the Ministry of Health that will be used by healthcare workers and Eswatini in protecting themselves against COVID-19. The equipment was received by the Minister for Health, Lee Zingosi.
The Church of the Latter Saints and friends from South Korea have donated personal protective equipment to the Ministry of Health. The Church of the Latter Saints donated PPEs which amount to 3 million emalangeni, and friends from Korea donated PPEs worth 80,000 emalangeni. The Minister of Health, Lee Zingosi, says the Kingdom of Eswatini is very grateful for their assistance as there is a great need of the equipment in all health institutions in the country and to all Eswatini.
The people of Korea are giving us a lesson in giving, in responding to an emergency, in responding to something that is troubling everybody across the world. We have had experience with the church. Our psych hospital, all the beds that are coming there came from the church. So we know that when it's very painful, the church will listen.
The president of the Latter-day Saints Church, Sigole Maswati Jali, says they will continue assisting the Kingdom of Eswatini where they can.
We believe that true religion is to help the poor and the needy. And indeed, one of our prophets taught that, if you help your fellow beings, you are only helping your God.
The representative of the Friends from South Korea, Daniel Kim, says they hope the material will be of great help to Eswatini and encouraged Eswatini to still remember that the disease still exists.
COVID-19 is not finished yet, so people in the kingdom should wear the mask every time outside and inside the car.
The Ministry of Health says in order for the Kingdom of Eswatini to win against the disease, Eswatini should adhere to all COVID-19 rules and regulations to ensure their safety. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Temalangin Dlamini Muslim Konda, Matapa.
The House of Assembly has adopted the Public Accounts Committee report. This was after the debate, which was headlined by issues around the hiring of teachers and the Central Transport Administration. The report has been adopted today.
Last week, Chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, Pilar Buthelezi, tabled the committee's report in the House of Assembly. Today, Buthelezi moved that the House adopts the report.
So isithi engakuzisona khona mkhulu nomfuba leSeptember lokuthi le forensic audit ngicenzise nalo itawuthinza lapha nene kodwa ke itawule lapha live nangabe bekunemgosi lo idrain lenkulu kuhulumende.
Members of Parliament said they supported the report.
Noma ingabuye forensic, Mr. Speaker, mkhulu lo mkhuhlane lo lapha ngeke vele uphele. Ma recommendations bawafake yakendeka kuqala kwatholakala kusomisa uya makaphuma khona sowendale ubazivakashise setihlobo tethu letingale kumbe nalo khona mabe selokumende lutho Mr. Speaker uthatha khanza naye ayakulebanzayo
uqinisho lisemaphoyisa angaphenya angakhazi ukuthi ngibalwebe la computer lapha kunebantu laba responsible laba phethele tiya lapho bekunema computer usho ukuthi nawubuka Mr. Speaker uthi ama-donors angaphindze asidonethele timbo ukuthi stadiyekela silive tihambe nje lula so bese singathi sesiguqatandla Speaker.
Speaker in the House of Assembly, Petros Mavimbela, then put the question of whether MPs adopt the bill or not. What is now left is for the various ministries to implement the recommendations of the report. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Parliament.
Eswatini, the 8 p.m. news continues after the break.
You know what makes Christmas so special? It's that little extra. And at Spar, we have thousands of extras. We're granting thousands of Christmas wishes and giving thousands of our customers free shopping. Plus, thousands in Christmas savings. Like Koo baked beans in tomato sauce, buy 2 for 20 emalangeni. And Cross and Blackwell tangy mayonnaise, buy 2 for 50 emalangeni. Spar, the home of 1,000 little extras this Christmas.
It's the season of great deals at Build It. Get a 20-litre Build It walls and ceilings paint, including a free paint roller set for $4.99. Or a 20-litre Build It acrylic roof paint for $5.99. And a Black & Decker 710-watt angle grinder or a Black & Decker 500-watt impact drill for $2.99 each. Promo ends 18 December 2020. Build It.
Oh, Uncle Denzel Mawashi. Dance there. You always say, when you may floor shame spoon of in but your kitchen floor, shame. It's fantuka. Aye, man. Chief negotiator of Lobola. But still have to negotiate with the types to clothes. Situela, you deserve it. You deserve a new kitchen, Robo. Because everyone deserves a beautiful home.
You know what makes Christmas so special? It's that little extra. And at Spar, we have thousands of extras. We're granting thousands of Christmas wishes and giving thousands of our customers free shopping. Plus, thousands in Christmas savings. Like Spar ice cream for only $39.99 and Baker's Choice assorted biscuits for just $89.99. Spar, the home of 1,000 little extras this Christmas.
Welcome Welcome back to our news at 8. In our sports news today, Vovovo Football Club head coach Tobias Nduli says their new training ground, which is the Prince of Wales in Mbabane, will give them a huge boost as they prepare to compete for promotion to the Premier League this coming season. Nduli said this during the team's training session at their new training ground at the Prince of Wales in Mbabane.
The new season of the Premier League of Eswatini and the National First Division kicks off on the 12th of December this year. Clubs continue with their preparations for the new season. Vovovo FC, that plays under the National First Division, is now training on natural grass at the Prince of Wales in Mbabane from their previous gravel ground in Mochane. Coach Tobias Nduli says getting a chance to train on natural grass will boost their confidence.
So I think the Prince of Wales for this season.
Nduli says it is quite amazing for the opportunity. In the past, it was quite hard for the players to train on gravel ground and play their games on natural grass.
So they are coming back, willing to fight,
Subsiso Twala, who is the captain of the club, says the chances of doing well this coming season are high, with the chance of training on natural grass. Twala says players are quite happy for the new ground. According to the club management, they have been following all rules and regulations for the coronavirus pandemic. The management says whenever they kick off their training sessions, players are checked and monitored regularly. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
Squash players based at the Mbabane club are expressing the need of introducing the sport in schools, and they further stated that getting sponsored tournaments for the juniors will play a significant role in the development of the sport. The players expressed this during their training session at the Mbabane club.
Squash is one of the sports that is on its course to development in the country. Mbabane club-based players believe the introduction of the sport into schools will play a major role in the development of the sport.
We should be done. Introduce the kids at a very young grassroots level. If we can be able to build more facilities, especially at the schools, especially the government schools. It's only the private schools that have all the facilities, but yet the government schools don't. So if you can probably build such facilities.
I think for the sport to improve, we need more attention on tournaments and competitions to, really put the people who are practicing and putting in the effort to get some rewards and to play other people, and also to hopefully go across the border and get some South African games.
The players also believe that the increase of number of facilities, especially in different parts of the country, will also make majority of the young players to get a chance to learn and practice the sport. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
Well, that brings us to the end of our news bulletin. But before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. The Deputy Prime Minister has condemned all forms of gender-based violence in the kingdom. The government of Eswatini needs about 240 million emalangeni to deliver the agro-value chain development strategy. The Minister for Natural Resources has launched the Manzini Integrated Water and Sanitation Project. Well, that is all the news we had for you tonight. Up next is the weather forecast. Good night and God bless.